This video is sponsored by the Model Centre.
Hello everybody and welcome back to LMM. And if you're enjoying what you're seeing on the channel at the moment, how about giving this video a like and maybe subscribing to the channel to help us grow and perhaps even check out our Patreon. Today it is the Doncaster Model Railway Show. So I'm here with my friends at TMC and I'm about to go and browse all the amazing models that they've got on display and try and not spend too much money. And then I'm going to have a look at everything else here at the show. So come with me for a look round.
And yes, he does actually have some friends.
Wow.
We started off the show with 009, looking at this layout modelled on the Welshpool and Llanfair Light Railway somewhere in 1935. Now, I'm not going to try to pronounce the name of it because I can't really do Welsh, but it really captured the charm of the full-size railway, and it was lovely watching locomotives come in, shunt their wagons, go about their business, and then head away with their newly marshalled trains, and really made me want to go and visit the full-size railway again, because I think it's really cool when you see a model layout which instantly takes you to the full-size place and makes you want to go back there. Keeping the rails the same distance apart but jumping up a scale and into the modern day was North Colton, representing a busy section of main line with full-length goods trains hurtling through, intermixed with stopping commuter services made up of things like pacers and sprinters. This layout was a flurry of activity and so much fun to watch the full-length trains trundling through the layout, and it's one of the joys of N that you can really model a proper length train in a not too large a space. Our first 00 gauge layout was Daisy Lane TMD, a small diesel depot set somewhere between the late 1980s and the mid 1990s. This was a DCC controlled layout with plenty of sound fitted locomotives. And if I was ever going to build myself a completely DCC layout, this is the kind of thing I would do, and where sound really comes into its own. The sound of locomotives firing up and then trundling about a yard was absolutely superb and gives it that extra ambience of a real working motive power depot. And frankly, I could have sat and watched all the different engines move around all day. Staying with 00 is Witham, a fictitious 00 gauge layout set somewhere in Somerset in the early 1960s. It's based on childhood memories from the builder as they used to travel from Paddington down to Paignton, initially behind steam power and then in the later years behind some Western Region diesels. The layout's name was decided by the use of placing a pin just randomly on the West Country and then using this as a placeholder for those memories rather than an accurate replica of the real location. The layout is a flurry of sound-fitted action, with trains constantly moving up and down on the main line and a small branch line which features DMUs and auto coaches going up and down for a little bit of extra operational interest. One of the nicest things about the layout is it is seen it on three sides, giving you plenty of different viewing angles to appreciate the trains as they go past.
Right, if you catch up with the level, the incline's a bit too steep. Right. So by doing that, we half the incline to the main line and the branch. Very good.
One of the staples every year that I've visited Doncaster is the 00 Live Steam Roadshow, featuring the 00 live steam locomotives that were developed and sold by Hornby, and I think these things are incredible. Proper scale working steam engines in 00. They're fascinating, they sound proper as they go past, and I just love them and really want one for myself. Often when you visit a model railway show like this, you're looking for a specific locomotive, and the one that you're all looking for, whether you know it or not, is the LNER G5, produced exclusively by Bachmann for TMC. It is produced in no less than 10 different liveries, all with subtle changes ranging from things like different safety valves to the addition of push-pull apparatus. This is suitable for anything. If you do the pre-grouping railways, there's the NER version. You've got the Eastern region LNER and BR covered, and if you're modelling the Western region, it represents a very lost locomotive. Even if you model the present day, there's a version of the new build G5 that's being built, and with every sale of this particular model, a donation is given to the group building the new full-size one. This is now available with 20% off, so there has never been a better time to get this model, and straight from the box, it is an incredible runner with an amazing crawl, and the sound on it is superb. Normally, I'm not a fan of sound-fitted steam locomotives, but the functions on this are fantastic, and it sounds brilliant. My favourite feature, of course, is the flickering firebox. Open up, hear the sounds of the shoveling, and see the flickering light. It's absolutely superb. And, as I mentioned, 20% off, meaning this is the time to get this exclusive model just from TMC. You can't get it from anywhere else, so go follow the link in the video description and get yourself a G5. It's absolutely glorious, suitable for the main line, branch lines, shunting yards, whatever you model. This is the engine for you. Because it's well known the G5's worked all over the network in every conceivable place. And with that, back to the show, where we drop down a scale to N gauge at Ely Wood. The highlight of this layout was the fully working roadway that had a selection of vehicles driving around. So often you have static vehicles which don't really work with a working railway, but having moving road vehicles alongside your moving train just brings the whole thing to life. This modelled the present day network, with high-speed trains and freight trundling up and down under the catenary. The layout represents a busy part of the main line, and there was a constant stream of trains heading across the layout. Collingwood is a 00 gauge layout based on Fareham on the southern region. It's set in modern day, more specifically based on a bank holiday weekend when there are engineering works running elsewhere, meaning a wide variety of different trains from different operating companies are forced to run over these metals. My favourite feature on this one is the bridge that runs over the river just before the station. Just gives a little bit more interest to the whole thing.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I like those long wheelbase tankers.
Yeah.
So good.
Well, that set had run down yours.
Good.
You just want that sound.
This, at the moment, yes, it's just here, but also with a couple of other which seem to be fairly intermittent. Connect.
running that one then?
It was the predecessors to what are now Southern. Yeah.
Keeping in the modern day but dropping down to N scale was Pothole City, set in a fictional busy town with an equally busy section of railway running around the outside. There was always something moving on this layout, which kept the interest up, with a wide variety of different operators and stock making its way across the layout. One of the biggest and certainly most impressive layouts at the entire show was Slattox Junction in P4 gauge, which is the correct version of 00, with the rails set to be the correct distance apart. Slattox is a real location and the layout is based on Castleton South Junction just outside, with many of the buildings and structures on the layout have used prototypes from the local area for their inspiration. The layout is set between 1955 to 1965, which means there's a good variety of different stock able to run, from late BR steam to the early wave of BR green diesels. This was a joy, some absolutely top-notch modelling on the buildings behind the scenes and wonderfully weathered locomotives and stock making their way through. There is something so satisfying about seeing a full-length train in 00 making its way across a layout and having room to stretch its legs. There was a great variety of different trains traversing the layouts, and frankly I could have stayed and watched this one for hours. It's absolutely fabulous. And it's scenes like this that make me sad to think that I was never able to train spot in the golden age of railways and see this in real life.
Brilliant as well, like, it's marvellous. Yeah.
I've got his others as well that I've done for him.
He's very lucky. He's very lucky there.
And I'm free as well. That's even better, isn't it, when you're free?
Yeah.
What's that one? That was the original that he sent me the picture of. They were normally all together, but for some reason they spread about. What's that? Yeah, it's just a musical bent, and it's the artistic flair.
Lovely, it's lovely, lovely.
I mean, that guy that just gone, he's a great model, and the paintwork he does on locos, and the lining he does, fantastic. And he's got all
You'll never see it, no. You'll never see it unless you get down and look here. But never wander around.
Yeah, I'm coming with you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, lovely talking to you.
Yeah, take care.
Yeah. Yes, I find it amazing. Just feel like they're more important.
Staying with P4 but going way back in time was Market Bosworth, set around 1908, which means it's part of the pre-grouping railway. So not only are we dealing with a scale that has nothing ready to run available, we're going even more obscure with the early days of the railways. And I really admire the dedication to be able to model this. I love it when you see a layout modelling the pre-grouping railways because everything is so different to your traditional model layout. And visually it's just really interesting and makes you appreciate all the effort that the builder had to go to accurately recreate the scene. Returning into 00 was Stern Point, a fictional heritage railway operating on a spit of land. This is based on a real military railway that used to have its operation along a similar spit of land. Highlights included a lighthouse which could change its flashing to represent any around the UK. I also really enjoyed the firefighting train seen here, based upon the one that runs on the Paignton Dartmouth. I really enjoy seeing something different with model railways, and this really scratches that itch. It's lovely to see heritage being modelled because it allows the operators to run what they want when they want, and a vast collection of different rolling stock.
I've seen you here. Yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah. All right. Thanks. Yeah. No, it's definitely not good for me, that, and I'm not in favour of it either.
We'll start spreading it. Make it known it's not good.
If it's a level 2, yes. Yeah. And there's a floor drop system. We have a layout. I came in a bit of a mood.
You enjoying it?
Well, I bought a few things.
Staying with 00 was Little Cone, and I really enjoyed this because it's modelling the area locally to me, and I don't often get to see model railways from my part of the world. It's set in the 1950s, and I recognise lots of the architecture and design from some of the local heritage railways that I'm part of. And I really enjoyed the typically East Anglian trains that were running up and down. This layout just reminded me of home.
There is.
In O-Gauge was Napier Road, a fictitious layout set in the early 1960s in the northeastern region of British Railways. With the demise of steam, new diesel locos were appearing on the nation's railways, and I really enjoyed this layout because all of the locomotives had really good sound systems fitted. This was a joy to watch. There was a real rumble as the locomotives trundled about the yard, moving from the shed to the fueling station elsewhere on the layout. As I've said many times before, the jury is still out for me on sound-fitted steam locomotives, but diesels running about a yard like this, it's absolutely superb, and this is exactly what DCC sound-fitted stuff was meant for, because this is glorious, and if you just let yourself go a little bit, you can almost believe you are there, watching these machines moving about ready for their day's work. Dropping back down to 00 was Branson and Heinton. This layout models the station that the layout is named after in the 1940s, the heyday of the LNER. As well as having plenty of through freight and stopping passenger services, it also featured a goods yard where locomotives would be moving around shunting wagons ready for the next train, meaning there was always plenty of activity to watch.
Great working. Got it? Got it.
Leaping forward in time takes us to Brunswick Yard, set somewhere between the present day and 2010, somewhere in the UK Midlands. This is a diesel depot full of lots of detail, featuring sound-fitted locomotives trundling back and forth, readying themselves for the day's work. Featuring one of Helgen's Ruston 48s that was made from measurements taken from my own 1:1 scale Ruston was Shagbats, which was a layout that had a story behind it. It tells the tale of 277 Squadron's Walrus returning to base after a daring rescue across the English Channel. Although the servicing settings and its rail-served nature are fictitious, this fantastic layout pays tribute to real events, and I love that idea behind it. It's more than just a layout, it's helping to tell a story and keep history alive.
Thank you. It's always about people. This is it. Oh yes. It's all about people. Model railways is a unified thing. It's all about people.
Going back down the scales to N was East Ansley, based on the station of the same name on the Devon and Somerset Railway, which ran between Taunton and Barnstaple, and is set somewhere between 1954 and 1966, meaning there was a good mix of Western steam and early diesel traction. The main line is single-tracked, meaning that trains have to come in and pass at the station, and the layout really captures the feel of the West Country. Same with Engage was Brawning and Stanton, based on two actual stations that form part of the Buntingford branch line in Hertfordshire, affectionately known as the Bunt. It was closed to passengers in the November of 1964 and goods traffic in September of 1965. The layout is modelled in 1963 and 1964, when steam had been replaced by diesel and where the neglected line was close to its final demise. There are very few signs left of the real railway, so this is a lovely testament to its legacy. The nicest little piece of general knowledge is that the station building still survives and is now lived in by the grandson of the last active station master before closure, and I think that's really nice. A popular theme at Doncaster had been the changeover years where both steam and diesel could be seen on a layout, as was the time period for Pedwarden Forest, a 00 gauge layout set somewhere in the western region where older ex-Great Western locomotives could be seen passing the newer diesels. Something a bit different was Trowland in S gauge, which is smaller than O but larger than 00. This model the terminus of the Midland and Great Northern Joint Railway in North Norfolk. The layout is set very firmly in the 19th century, and I love the livery of these locomotives. Wouldn't it have been amazing to see these things trundling past in real life? It's great to see one of my local railways represented in model form, and currently my Rustons are based on part of the old Midland and Great Northern Railway network, so it made it all the more special to see a station further up the line represented in model form. Heading back to 00 and the 90s was Tidmouth. Inspired by the colourful network's southeast livery, this layout featured passenger trains, an MOD siding and a China clay terminal, which meant there was a flurry of activity with regular passenger trains coming in and out of the platform and freight trundling up and down. Personally, I thought the little MOD siding was a really nice touch, as it meant there was always something going on when you were waiting for the next train to arrive on the layout.
I saw we were 1-0 up.
2-0.
2-0, really?
Yeah.
Leeds will be pleased then. Won't be any windows left on them buses again.
Yeah, that's how this read it.
Either off.
I'm loving the sound.
If it hit one, that should give you sound as well. How does that happen? I get clear signal when he comes up the single line in front.
Cold in here, I just feel cold, so yeah.
There's a talk, I've got a heat on.
A little one, but it takes too long to walk. Wait,
Oh, is it? I've got a little 3 kilowatt one or something.
Yeah.
It doesn't take long to take the chill up there.
Network Southeast.
Wear 2 fleeces, it's usually alright.
I think the blue and grey one is obviously still towards the end. So covered more of the network.
teams struggle with time these days.
This is the first. This morning is the first time this has been switched on since we used it in Swansea in September. So, yeah.
Staying with 00 but jumping back a decade to the 1970s and 80s was a Kinlochum. This was a what-if layout, imagining what the station would have been like if the Skye and Dingwall Railway proposed branch line had ever been built and reached the town. It is in the middle of the BR Blue period, and the station depicts a similar run-round procedure as used on the Kyle of Lochow station, with the locomotive having to propel its train to a point where, after uncoupling, it is able to run round. Being a big fan of the Highlands, this layout took me straight back up to Scotland.
I also got the change. He works on the track all the time, track.
Continuing with 00, but coming back to modern day, was Edgeworth, featuring a main line with a marshalling yard for freight and a small branch line terminus station, which saw DMUs trundling in and out. There was plenty of action as the freight trains rumbled through and trains were marshalled and refitted ready for onward travel.
Potentially, but I need to get them split off the logo as well. Those two.
Right.
It's still going, so I brought this bit a lot. Sorry. Hey, it's going downhill instead of this. Oh, it's going downhill.
It's no secret that I'm a big fan of both micro layouts and industrial scenes, so BSC Orgrave recreating the atmosphere of a steel plant's coking plant was sure to be a winner for me. I love this. I love the detail, the way that everything's grimy and just locomotives shunting back and forth. It's also really exciting to see something different. I love layouts that are doing something that I've personally not seen before or a new take on it, and this was exactly that.
I'm going to say, he technically allowed to display that, yeah. I ain't even got one of them found. It's actually been implemented. No?
Steeple Bumpfley is a small essay in EM gauge where the track spacing is 18.2mm as opposed to the 16.5mm of 00 gauge. It is based on a small branch somewhere on the western region of British Railways in the 1960s. As well as passenger services, a cement works provides an additional source of traffic. It shows what can be achieved in a relatively small space as DMUs trundle into the platform and freight locomotives bring a small train, marshal it and then leave again. And finally, in N fine scale, we have Richmond, which depicts a North Yorkshire railway terminus during the 90s and 60s. This once again means there is a good mix of steam and diesel locomotives trundling up and down. Operation is pretty simple. A train comes into the platform, uncouples, run round, then pushes its train back into the platform before departing again. There's a small yard where locomotives can be serviced and occasionally wagons are shunted as well. It did feature automatic couplings in N, which I was genuinely impressed with because I have never managed to make those work.
So that brings us to the end of this video here at Doncaster. Now, I think we've done most of the layouts, but honestly, I've completely lost track because I've seen so many of you wonderful people, I've had lots of wonderful conversations, and I've just lost track. It's a great show, there's so many traders, so many things to look at, including our friends here at Elcut. If you want a really good kit with some super detail that are pretty easy to build, as I've proven many times, then check out the website. They've got an amazing range, and they're good personal friends of mine, so check out this stuff, like this amazing signal box. And with that, thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed this, how about clicking somewhere over there for last year's Doncaster show, or down there for the year before's Doncaster show, and over there, I don't know, something else. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. It's time to take the elevator down. Ta-da! Ding! Ow! It didn't work particularly well.